The cell was cold and dark. Commander Jake sat on the metal floor with his back against the wall. His powered armor was broken in many places. The left arm did not move at all. The chest plate had 3 deep burns from plasma fire, but he did not take it off. He would never take it off. 17 days. He had been a prisoner on this alien warship for 17 days. His squad was dead, all 6 of them. He watched them die one by one during the ambush. Tommy was first, then Carlos, then the others. Jake was the only one left, and sometimes he wished he had died with them. They had captured him because his armor lost power during the fight. They dragged him onto their ship like a prize, like a trophy. They wanted to study him. They wanted to know why humans were so hard to kill. Jake heard footsteps outside his cell. They were heavy and slow, footsteps. The aliens were tall, almost 8 feet. They had scales that changed color in the light. Their eyes were completely black like polished stones. When Jake first saw them years ago, he thought they were beautiful in a strange way. Now he only saw enemies. The door opened with a soft sound. 2 guards walked in first. They carried energy rifles and pointed them at Jake. He did not move. He had learned that staying still made them nervous. They expected humans to fight. When humans stayed quiet, they did not know what to think. Then she walked in. Jake knew she was different immediately. Her scales were a lighter color, almost silver. She wore robes instead of armor, and the way she moved told him she was important. The guards bowed their heads when she passed them. She stopped in the middle of the cell and looked at Jake for a long time. Her black eyes studied every part of his broken armor. Jake looked back at her and said nothing. "Leave us," she said to the guards. The guards looked at each other. One of them made a worried sound. "Princess, this human is dangerous. We should stay." I said, "Leave us." The guards bowed and walked out. The door closed behind them. Now it was just Jake and the alien princess in the cold cell. She walked closer to him. Her footsteps were softer than the guards. She stopped about 10 feet away and tilted her head to one side. It was a gesture Jake had seen others make when they were curious about something. "I am Lyrie," she said, "third daughter of High Emperor. Do you know what that means?" Jake did not answer. "It means I am royalty. It means when I ask a question, you answer." Jake still did not answer. Lyrie made a sound that might have been a laugh. "My soldiers told me humans were stubborn. They said you would rather die than give information. I did not believe them until now." She began to walk in a slow circle around him. Jake kept his eyes forward. He tracked her movement by sound alone. "You interest me, human," Lyrie said. "Your species is very strange. You have no claws, you have no natural armor. Your teeth are flat and weak. Your skin tears like paper. You cannot see in the dark. You cannot hear very well. You are slow. You are small." She stopped in front of him again. "And yet my soldiers fear you. Warriors who have fought across 3 star systems. Warriors who have conquered 12 worlds. They see one human in broken armor and they are afraid." Jake finally spoke. His voice was rough from days without proper water. "Maybe your soldiers are smart." Lyrie's scales shifted color slightly, blue to green. Jake did not know what that meant. "Interesting," she said. "You threaten me even now. You are wounded. You are alone. You are on a ship with 5,000 of my people, and you still threaten me." It was not a threat, it was a fact. Lyrie walked even closer. She was only 5 feet away now. Jake could smell her. It was a strange smell, like flowers and metal mixed together. "I have studied your kind," she said. "After our first invasion failed, I wanted to understand how. Your forces were smaller, your technology was weaker, you should have lost, but you did not lose, you won." Jake remembered that war. He was young then, just a new soldier. He remembered the fear when the ships first appeared in Earth's sky. He remembered thinking that humanity was finished, and he remembered what happened next. Humanity fought back. Not just soldiers, but everyone. Factory workers made weapons day and night. Scientists created new technologies in weeks instead of years. Ordinary people joined the fight in any way they could, and slowly, impossibly, they pushed the back. Your people did something we did not expect, Larry continued. When we destroyed your cities, you did not surrender, you fought harder. When we killed your soldiers, more soldiers appeared. When we bombed your ships, you sent more ships. It was like fighting water. Every time we struck, you flowed around us and struck back. She leaned down so her face was closer to his helmet. Her black eyes reflected his visor. "What are you?" she asked. "What manner of creature fights like this?" "We are human," Jake said simply. "That is not an answer. It is the only answer I have." Lyrie stood back up. She looked at his armor again, at all the damage and the burns and the scars. "Remove your armor," she said. "I want to see what you really look like." "No." The word hung in the air. Lyrie went completely still. Her scales shifted to a darker color. Jake knew that meant anger. "No one refuses a member of the royal family," she said. Her voice was colder now. "No one." "I just did." Lyrie stared at him for a long moment. Then her scales shifted again, back to their normal silver color. She made that sound again, the one that might have been a laugh. "You are different from the other prisoners we have taken," she said. "Most of them begged for their lives. Some of them gave us information. A few tried to fight and we killed them quickly, but you do none of these things." She walked to the door and stopped. "I will return tomorrow, human, and every day after until you answer my questions." She looked back at him. "I am very patient, and I always get what I want." The door opened and she walked out. The guards followed her. The door closed and Jake was alone again. He let out a slow breath. His body hurt. Everything hurt. The wounds under his armor were getting worse. He needed medical care. He needed food and water and rest. But he would not remove the armor. He would not give them that satisfaction. Jake closed his eyes and thought about his squad. Tommy with his bad jokes. Carlos with his family pictures. Lisa who could outshoot anyone. Dan who was afraid of spiders but never afraid of battle. Who sang old Earth songs when things got bad. And Pete who always said everything would be okay. They were dead, but Jake was still alive. And as long as he was alive, he would not break. "I will get out of here," he whispered to himself. "I will get home, and I will make them pay." It was a promise. To himself, to his dead friends, to everyone back on Earth who was waiting for news that would never come. Jake was a prisoner, but he was still a soldier, and soldiers never gave up. Not ever. Lyrie kept her promise. She came back the next day, and the day after that, and every day for the next 2 weeks. Sometimes she came in the morning, sometimes at night. Jake never knew when she would appear. He would hear the footsteps, then the door would open and she would walk in alone. She always sent the guards away. She was never afraid to be alone with him. At first they just stared at each other. She would ask questions. He would not answer. She would leave. It was a strange game they played. Jake did not understand why she kept coming back. He was not giving her any information. He was not doing anything useful, but still she returned. On the 5th day she brought food. It was not the usual prison food. The normal meals were gray blocks that tasted like wet cardboard. This food was different. Cooked meat, fresh vegetables, bread that was still warm. Jake could smell it through his helmet filters. Lyrie set the tray on the floor between them. "Eat," she said. Jake looked at the food. His stomach made a noise. He had not eaten well in weeks. His body was weak, but he did not move. "It is not poisoned," Lyrie said. "If I wanted to kill you, I would not use poison. I would use my own hands." Jake almost smiled at that, almost. "I cannot eat with my helmet on," he said. "Then take it off." "No." Lyrie made that sound again, the one that might be a laugh. "You would rather starve than remove your armor." "Yes." She studied him for a long moment. Then she picked up a piece of meat and held it out to him. "Open your visor," she said. "Just enough to eat. You do not have to remove the whole helmet." Jake thought about it. His body needed food. He could not fight or escape if he was too weak to move, and she was right. He could open just a small part of the visor. He reached up and pressed a button on the side of his helmet. A small panel slid open near his mouth. It was only a few inches wide. She could not see much of his face through it. Lyrie moved closer and placed the meat near the opening. Jake took it and ate it quickly. It was the best thing he had tasted in months. They continued like this for several minutes. She handed him food. He ate it. Neither of them spoke. It was strange and quiet and somehow comfortable. When the food was gone, Jake closed his visor again. "Thank you," he said. The words came out before he could stop them. Lyrie tilted her head. "You have manners, that surprises me. My mother taught me to always say thank you when someone feeds me, even if that someone is my enemy." "Your mother sounds wise." She died in the First War." Lyrie was quiet for a moment. Her scales shifted to a softer color. "I am sorry." "You are sorry that your people killed my mother." "I am sorry that you lost someone you loved. I know what that feels like." Jake looked at her through his visor. For the first time, he saw her not as an alien enemy but as a person who had also known loss. "Who did you lose?" he asked. "My brother. He was a commander in our fleet. Your people killed him during the First War." Jake did not know what to say. In war, everyone lost someone. It did not matter which side you were on. Death touched everyone equally. "I am sorry," he finally said. Lyrie made a small noise. "Now we have both said sorry. Perhaps that is a beginning." After that day, things changed between them. Lyrie still asked questions. Jake still refused to answer most of them. But now there was something else. A small connection. A tiny bridge between two people who should have been only enemies. She brought him water and medicine. She told the guards to give him blankets when the cell got too cold. She even brought him a book about history, translated into human language. "Why are you doing this?" Jake asked one evening. "I am your prisoner, your enemy. Why do you care if I am comfortable?" Lyrie sat down on the floor across from him. It was the first time she had done that. Usually she stood and looked down at him, but now she sat so they were at the same level. "I told you before that I studied your kind," she said. "But studying is not the same as understanding. Books and reports can only tell me facts. They cannot tell me what makes humans who they are. And you think being kind to me will make me talk. No, I think being kind to you will make you trust me. And when you trust me, you might help me understand." Jake laughed. It was the first time he had laughed since his capture. The sound was rough and broken, but it was real. "You are honest," he said. "I did not expect that from a princess. My father always told me that truth is the strongest weapon. Lies can win battles, but truth wins wars." Jake thought about that. It was good advice. Maybe they were not so different from humans after all. "Ask me something," he said. "Something real. I will try to answer if I can." Lyrie leaned forward. Her black eyes were intense. "Why do your people never surrender? Every other species we have conquered eventually gave up. They calculated the odds and realized they could not win. They chose survival over resistance, but humans never do this. Why?" It was a big question. Jake had to think about his answer for a long time. "Because surrender is worse than death," he finally said. "For humans, there are things more important than survival. Freedom, honor, the people we love. We would rather die fighting than live as slaves. But that is not logical. If you surrender, you might live. You might find a way to escape later. You might have another chance. You are thinking like a... Humans do not think that way. When we fight, we do not think about odds or chances. We think about the person next to us. We think about protecting them. We think about making our families proud. Those things matter more than logic." Lyrie was quiet. Her scales shifted through several colors. Jake was starting to understand what some of them meant. This pattern meant she was thinking hard. "My people do not fight that way," she said softly. "We calculate everything, risk and reward, cost and benefit. If a battle cannot be won, we retreat. We save our forces for a better opportunity." "That is why you lost the first war," Jake said. Larry looked at him sharply. "Explain." "You kept expecting us to act logically. When you destroyed our fleets, you expected us to negotiate. When you bombed our cities, you expected us to surrender. But we did the opposite. Every loss just made us angrier. Every death gave us more reason to fight." Jake leaned forward, his broken armor creaking with the movement. "You do not understand what you woke up when you attacked Earth. Humans are peaceful most of the time. We fight each other over small things, but we always stop before we go too far. But when something threatens all of us, something from outside, we change. We stop being many nations and become one species. And when that happens, there is nothing in the universe more dangerous than humanity united." Larry stared at him. For the first time since they met, she looked uncertain, maybe even a little scared. "Do you wonder what is beneath this armor?" Jake asked suddenly. The question surprised her. Her scales turned a bright blue color. "I have wondered since the day you arrived," she admitted. Jake nodded slowly. "Keep coming back, Princess, keep asking questions, and maybe one day I will show you." He meant it as a challenge, but there was something else in his voice too, something that surprised even him. He wanted her to understand, not because it would help him escape, not because it would change anything in the war, but because she was the first who had ever tried to see humans as more than just enemies. And maybe, just maybe, that was worth something. The 32nd day of captivity began like any other. Jake woke up in his cold cell, his body aching and his wounds burning beneath his armor. But something felt different today. He could not explain it, just a feeling in his gut. Larry arrived earlier than usual. She did not bring food this time. She did not bring medicine or books. She walked in and stood in front of him with her arms crossed. "I need to understand," she said. Her voice was different, harder, almost desperate. "I have asked questions for weeks. I have read every report about your species. I have spoken to soldiers who fought against you, but I still do not understand." Jake looked up at her. "What do you need to understand?" "How you can be so weak and so strong at the same time. How a species made of soft flesh and thin bones can make warriors like my brother fall. How you can be dying right now, in pain, alone, far from home, and still refuse to break." She knelt down in front of him. Her black eyes were intense. "Show me," she said. "Show me what is beneath the armor." Jake was quiet for a long time. He looked at her face, at the way her scales shifted color with her emotions. He saw frustration there, confusion, but also something else. Genuine desire to understand, not for military advantage, not for political gain, just pure curiosity. "If I show you," he said slowly, "will you answer a question for me?" "Yes, anything." Jake nodded. He reached up to his helmet. His fingers found the release catches. He had not removed the helmet in 32 days. The thought of doing it now made his heart beat faster. He pressed the catches. The helmet made a small hissing sound as the seal released. Slowly, he lifted it off his head. The cold air hit his face immediately. Jake closed his eyes for a moment, adjusting to the feeling. When he opened them again, Larry was staring at him. He knew what she saw, a human face, brown hair that was dirty and tangled, a jaw covered in rough stubble, skin that was pale from weeks without sunlight, a scar running from his left eyebrow down to his cheekbone, blue eyes that were tired but still sharp. "You look so ordinary," Larry whispered. "What did you expect?" "I do not know, something more, something that explains why you are so dangerous." Jake almost smiled. "That is the secret, Princess. There is nothing special about how we look. The dangerous part is inside." He set the helmet down and began working on his chest plate. The armor was badly damaged, and the release catches were stuck. He had to force them open with his fingers. The metal scraped and groaned, but finally it came loose. Jake pulled the chest plate away and set it beside the helmet. Lyrie made a small sound. Her scales turned a pale color that Jake had never seen before. His chest and stomach were covered in wounds, burns from plasma fire, cuts from shrapnel, bruises that had turned dark purple and yellow. His ribs showed through his skin because he had lost so much weight. Old scars crossed with new wounds in a pattern that looked like a map of pain. "How are you still alive?" Lyrie asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Because I refuse to die." Jake continued removing his armor, the arm pieces, the leg pieces, the back plate. Every part of it came off and joined the pile beside him. Every part revealed more damage to his body beneath. When he was done, he sat before her in nothing but torn underclothes. His body was broken in 100 different ways. Any doctor would say he should be dead. The wounds alone should have killed him days ago. But he was not dead. He was still breathing, still thinking, still fighting in the only way he could. Lyrie reached out her hand. She stopped just before touching his shoulder, looking at him with a question in her eyes. Jake nodded. She touched him gently, her scaled fingers cool against his hot skin. "You are burning with fever," she said. "I know. You need medical attention, real medical attention, not the small supplies I have brought you." "I know that too. Why did you not tell me? Why did you let yourself get this bad?" Jake looked at her, really looked at her, at this alien princess who had spent weeks trying to understand him, who had brought him food and medicine, who sat on the cold floor with him when she could have been in a warm palace. "Because showing weakness to an enemy is dangerous," he said. "Because I am a soldier and soldiers do not complain. Because I hoped I would escape or die before it got this bad. But you are showing me now." "Yes. Why?" Jake thought about that question. He had been asking himself the same thing since he started removing his armor. "Because you asked," he said finally. "Because you actually wanted to understand. No one has ever asked before, not like you." Lyrie sat back. Her hand left his shoulder, and Jake felt the loss of contact more than he expected. "This is what lies beneath the armor," Jake said. "Flesh that breaks, blood that spills, bones that shatter. We are not strong. We are not fast. We are not mighty. We are just meat and bone and blood like any other creature." "Then how?" Lyrie asked. "How do you do what you do?" Jake tapped his chest, right over his heart. "The body is just a vehicle," he said. "It carries something else, something you cannot see or touch or measure. We call it many things: spirit, soul, will. It is the part of us that keeps going when the body wants to stop. It is the part that says no when the universe says give up." He picked up the scar on his shoulder. It was old, from a battle years ago. "This wound should have killed me. The doctors said I would never fight again. But I did, because I decided to, because I refused to let a piece of metal determine my future." He pointed to the burns on his chest. "These are from the ambush where my squad died. I took them protecting a friend. She died anyway, but I would do it again. I would always do it again." Lyrie shook her head slowly. "Your logic makes no sense. You sacrifice yourself for others who die anyway. You fight battles you cannot win. You refuse to surrender even when there is no hope. It is wasteful. It is inefficient. It is." "Human," Jake finished. "It is human." He leaned forward, ignoring the pain that shot through his body. "You want to know the real secret? The thing that makes humans dangerous? It is not our weapons or our tactics or our technology. It is our ability to do impossible things through pure stubborn will." Jake looked down at his broken body. "Right now, by any logical measure, I should be dead. My body has given up. It has nothing left, but I am still here, still talking, still refusing to quit, because my will is stronger than my flesh." He looked back up at Lyrie. That is what lies beneath the armor, princess. Not a weapon, not a secret, just a stubborn, illogical, irrational refusal to accept defeat. And you cannot kill that. You cannot break it. You cannot conquer it, because it is not made of anything you can touch. Lyrie was silent for a long time. Her scales shifted through a dozen colors. Jake watched them change and wondered what each color meant. Finally, she spoke. I asked you if I could ask any question if you showed me the truth. Yes, ask. Lyrie met his eyes. Her black gaze was steady and deep. Would you teach me? Would you help me understand this human spirit, not for war, not for conquest, for myself? Because I look at you and I see something I want, something my people have never had. Jake studied her face. He looked for lies, for tricks, for hidden meanings. He found none, just honest desire, just real curiosity. Why, he asked. Because I am tired of calculating everything. I am tired of being logical. I watched you sit in this cell for over a month, broken and dying, and you never once gave up hope. You never stopped fighting in your own way. I want to know what that feels like. Jake smiled. It hurt his face because he had not smiled in so long. Then sit down, princess, and listen, because this is going to take a while. Lyrie did sit down, and she listened. For hours, Jake talked and she listened. He told her about Earth, about blue oceans and green forests and cities that touched the sky. He told her about the wars humans had fought against each other, terrible wars that killed millions, but also wars that ended with peace, with forgiveness, with former enemies becoming friends. He told her about his family, his mother who died in the first invasion, his father who raised him alone after that, his little sister who was only 6 years old when the aliens came. She was a doctor now, saving lives on a colony world. She had turned her fear of death into a mission to fight it. He told her about his squad, about Tommy, who joined the military to pay for his wedding. He never got married. About Carlos, who had 3 children he talked about every single day. About Lisa, who was the best shot Jake had ever seen. She once killed an enemy sniper from 2 kilometers away in a dust storm. About Dan, who was scared of everything except actual combat. About who sang old songs from Earth when times got hard. Her voice could make grown soldiers cry. About Pete, who always believed everything would be okay, even at the end. Lyrie listened to all of it. She did not interrupt. She did not ask questions. She just listened. We carry them, Jake said finally. His voice was rough from talking so long. Every human carries the dead with them, not as ghosts or spirits, as memories, as reasons, as fuel. He touched his chest again. When I fight, I am not fighting alone. I am fighting for Tommy, who never got to say his wedding vows. I am fighting for Carlos, whose children will grow up without a father. I am fighting for every person who died so that others could live. Their sacrifice gives me strength when my body has none. Lyrie's scales were a deep blue color. Jake had come to understand that this meant she was feeling something powerful. We do not have this, she said quietly. When a dies, we mourn them. We honor their memory, but we do not carry them like you describe. We move forward, we adapt, we continue. That is why you lose, Jake said. His words were not cruel, just honest. You fight for victory, we fight for each other. Those are very different things. Lyrie looked at her hands. Her scaled fingers were clasped together tightly. My brother was a great commander. He won many battles. When he died, I felt empty. I grieved. But then I moved on. I put his memory in a box and closed it. I thought that was the right thing to do. What do you think now? I think maybe I was wrong. I think maybe you humans know something we do not. She looked up at him. Tell me about the ones who will come for you. Jake raised an eyebrow. What makes you think anyone will come for me? Because that is what humans do. You said it yourself. You carry each other. You fight for each other. Somewhere out there your people are looking for you. Are they not? Jake smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "There is a ship called the Valiant," he said. "My friend commands it. Her name is Maria Santos. We grew up together on the same colony. We joined the military on the same day. She always said she would never leave a soldier behind. Not ever. Not for any reason." He looked toward the ceiling, as if he could see through the metal and into the stars beyond. "She is coming. I do not know how, I do not know when, but she is coming, because that is who she is, because that is who we are." Larry made a sound. It was soft and sad. "You have such faith in each other, such trust. My people do not trust like that. We are always calculating, always measuring. We trust only when the math says we should." "And how is that working for you?" Larry laughed. It was the first time Jake had heard her really laugh, not that small sound she made sometimes, a real laugh. "Not very well, apparently. We have all the logic in the universe, and we cannot defeat a species that makes decisions based on feelings." Jake shifted his position. His body screamed with pain, but he ignored it. He had been ignoring pain for so long it was almost familiar now. "Can I tell you a story?" he asked. "Please." "During the First War, there was a battle at a colony called New Hope. The fleet had us surrounded. Our ships were destroyed. Our orbital defenses were down. Everyone knew it was over. The math said we should surrender." Jake's voice grew softer as he remembered. "There was a pilot named Grace, just 20 years old. Her fighter was damaged. She had no weapons left, no shields. The colony below her held 40,000 people, and the command ship was charging its main weapon to destroy them all." Larry leaned forward. Her black eyes were wide. "Grace did the math. She knew she could not win. She knew she was going to die. But she also knew that if she flew her damaged fighter directly into the command ship engine, she might cause enough damage to stop the attack." Jake paused. "So she did. She flew straight into the heart of the enemy flagship. Her fighter exploded against the engine. The command ship lost power. It could not fire its weapon. 40,000 people lived because one young pilot decided that their lives were worth more than her own." He looked at Larry. "That is humanity. That is what we are. We are not strong or fast or mighty, but we will fly burning ships into enemy fleets to save people we have never met. We will die for strangers. We will sacrifice everything for an idea." Larry was quiet for a long moment. "I have heard stories about that battle," she said slowly. "Our records say the flagship suffered a catastrophic engine failure. They never mentioned a human pilot. Would your records ever admit that a single human in a broken fighter took down a command ship? Would your leaders ever tell your people that truth?" Larry shook her head. "No, they would not. It would raise too many questions." "Exactly. Because if your people knew what humans were really capable of, they might start to wonder why they were fighting us at all. They might start to ask if there was a better way." Larry stood up. She walked to the door and stopped. Her back was to Jake. "I am going to do something dangerous," she said. "Something that could get me killed." Jake waited. "I am going to save your life." She turned to face him. "My father wants you dead. My generals want you dead. Everyone on this ship wants you dead except me. But I am not going to let that happen, because you have shown me something today, something important, and I need you alive to help me understand it fully." Jake looked at her. This alien princess who should be his enemy, this daughter of the emperor who ordered the attack on Earth. She was risking everything for him. "Why?" he asked. It was the same question she had asked him earlier. Larry smiled. It looked strange on her alien face, but somehow it was beautiful. "Because you asked, because you actually wanted me to understand. No one has ever done that before, not like you." She used his own words, and somehow that made all the difference. "What are you going to do?" Jake asked. "I am going to bring you real medical care. I am going to help you heal, and then I am going to help you escape." Jake stared at her. "You could be executed for treason." "Yes, I could." Then why? Lyrie walked back toward him. She knelt down so they were at the same level. Her black eyes met his blue ones. Because for the first time in my life I am not calculating. I am not measuring. I am doing what feels right. And that is the most terrifying and wonderful thing I have ever experienced. She reached out and touched his hand. Her scaled fingers were cool against his fevered skin. You asked me what lies beneath human armor. Now I have my own question. What lies beneath scales? Jake wrapped his weak fingers around hers. I think you are about to find out, he said. And for the first time since his capture, Jake felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope. The alarm started screaming at midnight. Jake woke from a fevered dream to find red lights flashing in his cell. The sound was loud enough to hurt his ears. Something was happening, something big. The door burst open and Lyrie ran in. She was not wearing her usual robes. She was wearing armor, battle armor that covered her from neck to feet. In her hands she carried a bundle of cloth. Your people are here, she said. Her voice was fast and urgent. A human fleet just arrived at the edge of our system. They are demanding your release. Jake sat up. His body protested, but the pain did not matter anymore. Maria, she had come, just like he knew she would. How many ships? He asked. 12 ships against our fleet of 50. They are outnumbered but they are not retreating. They are advancing. They are coming for you. Jake laughed. It hurt his chest, but he could not stop. Of course they are. They would come with one ship if that was all they had. Lyrie threw the bundle at him. Inside were his underclothes, freshly cleaned, and a set of civilian clothes. I cannot return your armor. It was destroyed on my father's orders, but these will have to do. Get dressed. We do not have much time. Jake dressed as quickly as his wounded body would allow. The clothes were too big for him, but Lyrie helped him adjust them so he could move. Where are we going? He asked. There is an escape pod on the lower deck, small enough to avoid detection during a battle. I can get you there, but you will have to fly it yourself. The ship shook. Something had hit them. The human fleet was not waiting. They ran through the corridors. Well, Lyrie ran. Jake moved as fast as he could, which was not very fast at all. But she stayed with him. She could have escaped alone. She could have saved herself. But she stayed. Soldiers passed them in the halls. They were rushing to battle stations. None of them stopped to question why a princess was escorting a human through the ship. There was too much chaos, too much fear. This way, Lyrie said. She pulled him down a side corridor. They turned a corner and stopped. An officer stood in front of them. His scales were dark red. His eyes were narrow with suspicion. Princess, he said, what are you doing with the human prisoner? Jake recognized him. Commander. He had been present at some of Jake's early interrogations. He had wanted to torture Jake for information. Lyrie had stopped him. I am moving him to a secure location, Lyrie said. Her voice was calm and cold. Royal. The battle makes his current cell dangerous. The only secure location for this human is an airlock, said. Step aside, princess. Your father ordered this creature dead. My father ordered him kept alive for study. His orders have not changed. His orders changed an hour ago. The human fleet contacted us and demanded his release. Your father's response was to order the prisoner killed. I am here to carry out that order. Drew his sidearm. It was a plasma pistol. One shot would burn a hole through Jake's chest. Jake stepped in front of Lyrie. No, he said. Laughed. The human protects the princess who kept him prisoner. How amusing. She is not my enemy, you are. Jake, stop, Lyrie said. He will kill you. Then he will have to kill me protecting you. That is a good death. His eyes widened. He did not understand. He could not understand. Why would a prisoner die for his captor? It made no sense. What is wrong with your species? He asked. You should hate her. You should want her dead. Why do you defend her? Because she saw me as a person, Jake said. Because she tried to understand instead of just destroy. Because she is worth protecting. The ship shook again. Harder this time, the lights flickered. Lyrie moved. She was fast, faster than Jake expected. Her hand came up and caught's wrist. She twisted. The pistol flew from his grip. Then she hit him once hard in the throat. He went down choking. Jake stared at her. I told you I would help you escape, Lyrie said. Did you think I meant by asking nicely? She picked up the pistol and handed it to Jake. Can you shoot? I can always shoot. They kept moving. The escape pod bay was only 2 corridors away. Behind them, Jake could hear calling for backup on his communicator. They will be coming, Lyrie said. I know. You need to get to the pod. I will hold them off. Jake grabbed her arm and stopped her. No, you come with me. Jake, I cannot. If I leave, my people will never consider peace. They will hunt humanity forever. But if I stay, if I survive, I can change things. I can use what you taught me. They will execute you for treason. Maybe, or maybe they will listen. My father is not evil. He is just afraid. Afraid of what humans represent. If I can show him what you showed me, maybe we can end this war. Jake looked at her. This alien princess who had become something else. A friend. Maybe more than a friend. Something he did not have a word for. I do not want to leave you here. I know, but you have to. Your people need you. They came all this way for you. Do not make their sacrifice meaningless. Jake wanted to argue. He wanted to stay and fight beside her. But she was right. Maria and the others had risked everything to save him. He could not throw that away. When the war ends, he said, I will come back, I will find you. Lyrie smiled. Her scales turned a soft golden color. Jake had never seen that color before. I will wait for you, however long it takes. She reached up and touched his face. Her scaled hand was cool against his fevered cheek. Thank you, Jake, for showing me what lies beneath the armor. Jake put his hand over hers. Thank you, Lyrie, for asking the right question. They heard footsteps running toward them. Many footsteps. Guards were coming. Go, Lyrie said, now. Jake ran. His body screamed with pain, but he ignored it. He reached the escape pod bay and found a single small ship waiting. He climbed inside and sealed the door. Through the window, he saw Lyrie standing at the entrance to the bay. She held the plasma pistol in one hand. The guards would reach her in seconds. She turned and looked at him through the glass. She raised her free hand in what Jake recognized as a gesture of farewell. Then she turned to face the corridor where the guards would appear. Jake launched the pod. The small ship shot out into space. Around him the battle raged. Ships fired at human ships. Human ships fired back. Explosions lit up the darkness. Jake flew toward the human fleet. His hands were shaking on the controls. Not from fear, from exhaustion, from fever, from everything. A human cruiser spotted him. He recognized the markings. The Valiant, Maria's ship. A voice crackled over the communicator. A familiar voice. A voice he had dreamed about for 40 days. Unknown pod, identify yourself. Jake pressed the transmit button. This is Commander Jake. I am coming home. The response came immediately. Maria's voice, crying and laughing at the same time. Jake, oh God, Jake, we found you. We actually found you. I told you I would not die easy. Get your pod into our landing bay. We are pulling out. Maria, wait. There is on that ship, Princess Lyrie. She saved my life. She helped me escape. Do not destroy that ship if you can help it. There was silence on the line. Then Maria spoke again. Are you sure? I have never been more sure of anything. More silence. Then orders were shouted in the background. The human fleet began to pull back. They were retreating, but not before sending one final message to the fleet. This is the Earth Alliance fleet. We have recovered our soldier. We are withdrawing. We do not want more bloodshed today, but know this, we will always come for our people. Always. No matter the cost, no matter the odds, that is who we are. Jake guided his pod into the Valiant's landing bay. The door sealed behind him. He was safe. He sat in the pilot's seat for a long moment. He thought about Lyrie, about everything she had risked, about the question she had asked and the answer he had given. Do you wonder what lies beneath this armor? Hope, stubborn, irrational, unbreakable hope. Humanity was not mighty. They were not invincible. They were small and fragile and mortal. But they carried each other. They fought for each other. They died for each other. And they loved across every boundary the universe could create. Jake climbed out of the pod. Maria was waiting for him. She caught him before he collapsed. I have got you, she said. I have got you, brother. Jake smiled. His body was broken. His heart was full. Take me home, he said. And then when I am healed, bring me back here. I made a promise to someone, and humans always keep their promises. Maria looked at him with confusion in her eyes, but she nodded. Whatever you need, Jake, whatever you need. Jake closed his eyes. He thought about Lyrie, standing alone against guards, buying him time to escape. He thought about her golden scales and her black eyes and her questions that cut deeper than any blade. Somewhere across the darkness of space, she was fighting her own battle, a battle for understanding, a battle against fear, a battle that might change everything. And Jake knew with absolute certainty that she would win, because she had learned the most human lesson of all. Never give up. Not ever. Not for anything.